Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the show. We have a special guest who's been on the show back when it was at my house. One of my favorite friends because I always, for some reason, call him by his DJ name. I always say DJ.
Please.
Even when I talk to him in person, he is still to me DJ Sean P. here on the show. Let's give it up for him after a word from our intro music.
You staying home tonight?
Oh, dude.
Planned on it? No.
This is your music.
I can tell you the story behind making this.
Oh, yeah. Let's do that.
Minus 5.
The little sound effect.
4.
Oh, it is?
3.
2. This is still one. When I first saw this, I was like,
Booster ignition and liftoff of Discovery.
You're gonna die.
yeah.
I'm Raymond Arroyo.
I missed
We'll see you next time.
I like this past and crude. They're so fun.
Okay, everyone give it up for DJ Sean P. So that was back. So Kyle was asking me how we met, and I came across you on social media years ago, and then it was like one of those social media things where I just started interacting with your stuff, commenting. I figured out you were local. And I was like, what? This guy's local, super creative. I think you were working with propaganda or something at the time, and I had also started getting into I was listening again to like Lecrae, propaganda, these types of people, and then I invited you over my house. That was the first time we met in person.
Yes.
You came on the podcast when I was at my house. My family wasn't there, so it was just me and you.
Yes.
It was one of the first times I got a little nervous because you were one of the first guests that came on that I'd never met before. Like all the other people that
You
come
got
on,
lucky, bro.
I know, dude. You could have killed me. And then
I planned to. It didn't work out.
And then to your credit, I pulled out donuts and I made you freestyle while eating donuts. It's a great clip. But anyways, I have you to thank for the intro music, which I added some I added some sound effects or some what would you call it? Some what?
Foley.
Some Foley like in drops. I added some. Is that what you call it?
Yeah, Foley is like sound that you put on top of video to accentuate the video.
Oh, I thought Foley is when like you pretend you're walking and I go.
It is, but wasn't there a rocket?
Yes, but there's also like
Booster ignition.
some clips like you're gonna die and like.
Oh yes.
What would you call that?
Sweeteners, candy,
Sweeteners?
ear candy.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's the official music term.
Ear candy is the thing for sure.
Or a sample? Is it a sample?
Yeah, you put a sample on top.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in a way, Kyle,
Co-producer.
DJ Sean would say that. In a way, I'm kind of
You're co-producer.
I'm a DJ.
You're a co-producer.
Wait, so you said there's a story behind the music?
Yeah,
Thank you, by the way.
Oh, dude,
We've been playing it for a long time.
Thank you.
And your credit is in every show description.
Yes. It's sad because I've done several other podcasts and when they update it and I'm not involved, and then they stop saying my name at the end of the credits, and it's like it's okay, but I'm just like you could have called.
Dude, and you probably as soon as we started using this, just a spike in just downloads, attention, money, accolades.
Dude, after this, Donald Trump, the Trump Foundation,
they were reaching out for the theme song.
His daughter, whatever her name is,
Ivanka. Yeah,
Ivanka.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
Ivanka. I hardly know her. So what's the story behind the song? I have a great family. I'm married into a great family, and my father-in-law takes the family on these little getaways maybe once a year. Mm-hmm. And so as a family, there was a time where I never got away, but once I did decide to start getting away, I would bring my laptop. Mm-hmm. And so we would go into the hills in Texas, and there'd be no internet or anything, but I'd get my laptop, and for several summers in a row when we had this opportunity to do this stuff, I would just challenge myself by what can I produce with the random songs that are on my hard drive on my computer, and I'd make a batch of beats. Yeah.
5 beats a day for 3 summers.
You know what I'm saying? Dang.
Wait, what's that a reference to?
Kanye.
That's an old Kanye song.
Okay.
Yeah, Kanye did that. Yeah, I remember when I hear that, I remember being on a little bed in a little tiny weird little room with like nothing to do, and like I love like Paul Simon. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just like, can I make a beat out of this? And like and it's not. I'm not in the studio, and it's like Ableton and samples and all the stock stuff on Ableton, and making that fuzz guitar on Ableton with just Ableton was like, it was a challenge, and so I did it.
Dude,
and
it's so good. And I asked you, I was like, would you be open to me using one of your songs as the intro music? Because I forget what I used to use, and you were like, yeah, and you're so nice about it. And I was like, I'll credit you and everything. It's a super huge podcast, and you sent me a Google Drive folder that had a ton of tracks, and you're like, yeah, pick any of these. And so I remember being in the shower. Or throughout my day, just listening to different tracks, or whatever. And when this one came up with the sample of the oh my gosh, what song is it from?
Isn't it the Paul Simon song?
Yeah, it's
Julio. Is it Julio?
So, anyways, when this song came up, I was like, oh man, this is kind of weird. Like of all of them, it stood out as kind of weird.
Yeah.
And I was like,
yes.
And I remember playing it for a few people and then being like, I don't know, it's kind of weird. And I'm like, then that's the one. That's it. I was like, that's it. I was like, that's it.
I kind of felt like after,
it fits.
I honestly too was like, after I got to know you in the podcast, I'm like, dude,
it fits.
This fits, bro. It's but thanks, man. Thanks for that.
So what are you up to nowadays? You worked for church for a while, ever since the last episode.
Yeah.
So
that was a big difference.
You came on the pod, and then you started working for the church. And then the microphone's gonna get away again.
Nope, I got it.
And
I know all about it.
Then you left the church, and now you're. What are you doing now?
Kind of the same thing.
Freelancing?
Freelancing.
Okay.
Yeah. So prior to the church, I was a professional DJ, and then I got opportunities to do a lot of different stuff as a DJ. And music production was really taking off for me, and I was doing. Making music for different commercials and things like that.
Yeah.
And doing engineering. People would send me music to mix and master and stuff like that. So just a hodgepodge.
I gave you the crappiest. I just have to say for people listening, I give you the crappiest microphone arm, and it's slowly, every now and then, it slowly just gives up the ghost.
Listen, I love it.
You're a pro.
I want to finesse it. And so now I'm kind of back to getting to the heart of how can I be creative, and then how can I figure out my place in the digital world.
Well, you're crushing it with some of the social media clips, the Instagram stuff. Like Kyle and I were talking about that because Kyle loves records and loves.
I was gonna say this is the only time that someone's been on the show with like a much better setup than me audio wise, and it's tough. It's tough. I was telling Edmund, I don't know if anyone will get this. You've got the the Technics 1200 turntable, right? I have like the Audio Technica 120, aka like the cheaper version of that, the one that's supposed to look the same, but is not as good. I saw his setup and I was like, oh, we've got to get this guy on the pod. It's so cool,
dude. You do super cool. These little like
the history clips.
Yeah, kind of like history behind some records or songs and stuff, and just the editing of it's super good, and like oh man, it's they're really good. You should go check them out if you're listening or watching this. But what was I saying? What were we talking about?
Well, you just asked me what am I doing now, and you brought this up, and I call that like I have my little catchphrase. I'm uncovering or discovering or the human connections in music, art, and culture. So that's the angle.
Are you do you script it out, or are you just off the top of your head, or do you, like what's your process when you're recording?
Well, what sounds most impressive?
You have it memorized. Well, the reason I ask is because
it's hard.
Now my full-time job is making videos like this, talking head.
Oh my god,
videos that I script.
Which I mean, let's just turn the tables. Like
amazing.
The stuff.
It's amazing. It's brilliant.
It's unbelievably good.
Whatever.
Like I want to interview. I want to talk about like how do you the motion, the graphics are crazy and the animations.
So not the ones with the live action ones. The other ones.
No, stop.
The animation ones.
Stop. Those of them.
Those are really
all
good.
of them are great.
Yeah.
But I was most impressed when I first saw that. I was like, this is literally the cream of the crop.
It's legit. The animation studio we work with, Akimbo. Shout out to Akimbo. They're really awesome, and the creative team behind
expensive.
It is expensive. It's very expensive.
Okay, good.
Very, very expensive.
I'm so happy you told me that.
Yeah, very expensive. Very, because and like 5 to 8 week production.
Yeah. Okay.
Like,
the real
once
deal.
the script gets done, it's like
Do they
multiple
send you
weeks.
storyboards and
Yeah.
you approve?
Yeah.
So it's like you're spending so much money. Every step of the process is getting approved and combed
Yeah.
over and looked
yeah,
over.
and then-
because once you say okay, you're spending the money and they're putting in the time.
Oh yeah, and it's reviews like, can we replace this animal shape with a human shape? It's like, and then it goes through another process of reviews where the big company that's paying. Oh my gosh, we got to get you a different.
look at
Are you
this.
sure, dude?
What's
we got to
up,
get
babe?
you a different mic. And then we could pause and switch out with that.
I'm entertained by this.
Okay. Yeah, and then there's anyways, and then there's a theological review process. So we have advisors, then we have a theological guy who gives like the final like.
Okay, so that is that's not just at the scripting part. That's throughout the
whole
process.
thing. Yeah.
So this kind of like is this like the Bible Project type thing?
Yeah, that was one of our influences. Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, actually, their animation studio, they kind of branched out. Everyone grew, and the studio grew, and whatever. And like some of the guys that used to work started their own animation studio, and we talked with them. We were considering. We got a quote from them. We were considering. Oh, dude,
You got a quote, and the quote was
expensive.
more expensive than what you guys are paying now.
Oh yeah. But also, it just wasn't. They were great. We were so close to working with them, but for various reasons, we decided to go a little different. But gosh, for those of you listening at home, I overcranked.
Is it dead now? Is that what's happening?
It's just barely holding on anymore. So because I overcranked it.
What? Sometimes you gotta overcrank things. You gotta find the
you
limits.
overcrank it, and then it's just like, all right, we're not going to hold anymore.
No, look. I think you just when you overcrank somebody, you have to calm them down.
Yeah, you got to give them a little.
So I think I'm gonna find the sweet spot.
Okay, you found it so far.
And so, and then you have the talking head videos and all this stuff. Like, I look at the stuff that I see Real Plus True is doing, and I go, how can I communicate this well?
But what I love that you do, one, your delivery is really good. Two, you are so detail oriented on the effects and the edits and those like little things that I notice that maybe not everyone else would notice, like little like
Let's talk about it.
Like layering over your voice and it like J cuts or whatever they're called, where like the audio keeps going but then you're cut to something else, and just all those little things. Like your style is so like on point.
Bro, thank you, Jesus.
Yeah.
Thank you. No, dude.
Is he a guy that helps? Does he help with the editing?
Jesus is great.
Yeah. Do you pay him a lot?
I want to make a comment here. I love that you did what goes into the videos lately, because I try to edit stuff here and there. I'm not like y'all.
Wait, who he did this recently?
Yeah, and he
What?
said
I
it
wanna
takes
watch that
him
one.
hours and hours, and I felt so much better about
Oh, I wanna
myself
watch this.
because I was like, "There's no way this guy can do this in
Posted
30
a
minutes."
timeline.
Yeah, of what your entire
day.
day looks like of getting one
What?
done.
Oh, I want to see this. Wait, okay, so are you scripting, teleprompter, or what? Like, how are you doing it?
Well, I think it might be a good idea to go through that post. Can we do that?
Yeah, pull it up.
Yeah, let me try to find it. It was It was maybe a week ago.
I probably still have. I mean, it's from my notes. So
Traveling Man.
yeah, traveling man
Let's
timeline.
talk, Kip.
Okay, I wake up and I get the kids ready for school.
Okay. Wait, where is it? This is on Twitter or on Instagram?
on
It's
Instagram.
gone now. I mean, it was on stories. So
Oh, it's
I can
story?
share it. Yeah, I can
okay,
share it.
Okay, give it to us. Give it to us.
You want me to share it?
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
How do I
You
share?
can airdrop it.
Yeah, if you airdrop it
Send
to
a
the
copy.
studio computer.
Airdrop.
The airdrop on this.
Oh, you're sharing it to me.
I'm both. I'm just hitting everything I can find.
Oh, dang,
Yep.
this is dope.
Yep, we got it right there.
So
The reason I ask is because I am thinking,
Yeah.
and I'm sure you do this too.
I have
but
not done a trip.
I love like Vox, or there's some of these different ones where like they're talking to
Yes.
camera, and I just wonder if maybe a
Yeah.
I do.
I'm going to get a
think
teleprompter. I
wanna
have
get
a client.
too.
So, when
But they
you're-
have such a. I used to take so much pride in the fact that I never use teleprompters.
I don't. No, because at the church I use teleprompters all the
Really?
time.
So it's kind of like this bad toupee fallacy where it's like if someone says, "I can always tell when a toupee is fake." The bad toupee fallacy, and I tell way too many people this. The bad toupee fallacy, it's like, well, but if it was a good toupee, you wouldn't know.
Exactly.
You don't know the toupees you've walked by and
Yeah.
couldn't tell.
So I don't
So
use
people
them.
say teleprompters are bad,
No, it's a skill.
but you
Just like-
only notice the bad use of teleprompters. You wouldn't notice if someone's using it well, right? Is that what?
Exactly, 100%. And that a teleprompter is only a tool, and so you still have to be skilled.
Yeah.
And so people that are good on camera, a teleprompter usually helps them be even more comfortable.
Okay.
And it helps things flow even more better. Less verbal communication, more like, you know what I'm saying?
Because I've noticed because I'm memorizing, then delivering, then memorizing, then delivering. And one, I think deep down, I want to believe that I could be an actor.
Oh, 100%, yes.
So I want to be able to memorize all the lines. And then two, what I'm noticing is that when I'm doing it that way, when I go back to edit, I'm repeating the same things over and over and over again. Whereas if I would have just read off a teleprompter, I wouldn't have. Every time you cut and then start again, you think you have to like the context isn't there, so you re-explain part of it. And so I'm going to edit. I'm like, this is like the 15th time I've said like, so in the resurrection, and it's like you don't talk that way where every sentence you say. Anyway, so I think I'm going to start using a teleprompter.
Well, that's very common. So like I'm usually the person that's shooting other people or even other influencers or stuff. I have to edit their stuff, and people that just think they can just be natural on the camera and then, edit it all down. To your point, that's so common, and this is much harder than you think it is. It doesn't have to be hard, but there is a comfortable state that you get in once you become good at it.
Yeah.
And once you're starting to edit yourself. I mean, I don't know how... I almost said something. The people that enjoy to groom themselves in front of a mirror, I don't know how they do that. Like, I avoid that. And when I do, I kind of like take a deep breath.
Before you look in a mirror?
And like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's like seeing the truth.
Yeah. It's hard.
And so when you edit yourself...
It's even worse.
Now, here's the thing. For some reason, I don't care. And I've been behind this camera so much, and I've had to coach people.
Yeah.
And I've seen people hyperventilate. Yeah. I've seen people crush it.
Yeah.
And go, and I'm like, you're really talented.
Yeah.
We're going to keep having you come do these videos, working at the church and trying to find. And then other people that you're like, they're great. They're a great personality. Get them in front of the camera. So usually like people that I've noticed, and I'm not a doctor or anything, but it's like.
Oh, also, by the way, you're right. It's the exact with podcasting, Kyle. We're not going to name names, but there's times where someone's out so amazing, crushes it in a room full of people, and then we get on the podcast and it's like, and you're just like, what's going on, man?
Dude,
like, you're so
It's a different skill.
And they don't even know, like, they didn't anticipate that happening, maybe.
Yeah. They just kind of tank.
Well, I've done that. I've been on, like, the radio before, like, earlier in as a DJ, and had been told some criticisms about me. And so when I got on the radio, I was trying to be what I thought was a cool person.
Wait, so you heard criticism before you went on the radio?
Yes.
And then that caused you to try
I tried to be like somebody else. And it's lame and it sucks.
Yeah.
And it's so whack. But yeah, so there's a skill and a talent. So I think teleprompters can be great. You just like with any other tool that you get, especially if you're making your own video of yourself, like it's gonna suck at first. You're gonna do it wrong, and you should probably do it wrong a few times. Like, and so with all the videos I've been making, I've been lucky enough to gather inspiration. I've been down the road a bunch already. I have not been the one in front of the camera. So it's worked out for me. Sometimes the scariest part is when I have to hit record.
Yeah.
The thing that I found the hardest was not the script at all. The thing that was the hardest was not overexposing highlights on my camera that doesn't have great dynamics, and I'm using natural light.
Yep.
And like the color changes, the light changes, and I'm trying my best because I have to underexpose almost by 2 stops on my camera, so I can get that buttery.
That's what I do. I exposed as well.
Yeah.
Also, the other thing is I just think of all these YouTubers who have like millions and millions of subscribers and stuff. And I'm like, some of these guys are not, there's no way they're all using teleprompters. So I'm like, I got to be able to do this, you know?
So
like,
there's techniques. So what I do is I try different techniques each time to see which one works. So like the last one I did, I deliberately, I finally got a little screen so I could see myself, but I put it on false color. So it's like, it's not, I'm not looking at myself. I'm just looking at the color.
Yeah.
But that was great. That was a huge win. But I just did a few lines at a time. I've always wanted to avoid recording a few lines at a time because editing, like you want it to be natural and smooth.
You don't want there to be all these jump cuts and like,
right. But I noticed with how I was editing these videos anyways, like I knew where the edits were going to be.
When you can hide it with B-roll too, because it just,
that's
to the viewer, it looks like it's all one take.
Right. So if you can maintain your vocal pitch and tone and inflection accordingly, and I felt like I was wisening up. I was like, great, I don't have to do a paragraph at a time. I can do a couple of lines at a time.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. And I was so nervous. I really thought, I was like, this video is going to be a home run. And then when I was about to edit, I was so nervous. I was like, my home run video is going to suck because I did it 2 lines at a time. And nobody's noticed and everybody's liked it. That, you know. And so I put these videos last week on TikTok. And I posted one a day. And like my TikTok engagement is crazy for me. And I grew 2,000 followers on TikTok.
That's amazing.
1,000 followers in a day.
That's amazing.
And then
you deserve it.
Well, like Instagram, like there's no engagement.
Yeah,
like
it's going
TikTok
down.
is full of people commenting.
Yeah.
And there are people my age. Like my demographic is on TikTok now apparently.
Dude,
you know
that's
what I'm
awesome.
saying? So it's
that's
like
awesome. Well, and also TikTok is not known for these very like highly
changing.
Produced.
Right.
But then all of it's coming like, and so I'm sure there's an appreciating like, dude, this guy's really going hard on TikTok.
Bro, and people are mentioning the production side. So the production side of it is ridiculous on my end.
Yeah.
But I only do that to be happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I understand it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
But my goals are to continue to do this because it's like I'm making a beat.
Yeah.
It's like I'm making a song. Who wants to make a crappy beat? Who wants to make a crappy song? Now, everything has different production values. You know, you're not Christina Aguilera. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be something else, but I want it to be me. And so, coming out of the church and then saying I'm going to set up my agency and then realizing I don't want to have an agency and then going, well, maybe I can be my first client. And then going, well, let me like establish my brand again.
Yeah.
And that you mentioning like the look and the feel and the, like, how hard is it as a person who serves so many different people? You serve different people. You really have to embody these different people at different aspects of the things that you do.
Yeah, yeah.
And as a DJ, I was playing other people's music. As a performer, I was performing. Sometimes I was performing my music. Other times I'm performing other people's music, like propaganda. That's not my music. And so it's hard as an artist, as a creative. And honestly, my boy Prop, like, you know, I left the church position. He scooped me right back up. We got on the road, and he was like, man, I hear you saying like you're not an artist, because, you know, I'm gabbing to him trying to figure out what the heck I'm going to do with my life.
This was recently?
Yeah, months ago. And he's like, but you are an artist. And I let go of being an artist like 15 years ago. And I decided I was going to be a person that serves other artists, you know? And so that's a huge win. Like, for me to hear that from you, and for me to feel like I can find my identity, because I've let go of my identity to make money and to serve other people for a long time.
One of my favorite opening lines of a book, I think it's called The History of Art. This is opening line, very first sentence in this big book. I think it's here in the studio somewhere. The very first line, this history of art, it says, "There's no such thing as art, only artists." I've thought about that a lot. And I'll tell people it to get their reaction, because I'm not sure I fully agree. Like, I get what it's trying to say, but it's interesting. Kyle, what do you think? I mean, there's no such thing as art, only artists. Like you're talking about the history of art. So it's kind of like the implied question is what the frick is art?
Yeah.
But then also what you're talking about, like, and there's something about calling yourself an artist because you're like, you want to kind of avoid like, oh, everyone's an artist. We're all art. You know.
And I believe, like, I'm that type of person. That's why I wanted to serve people, because I was like, look, you're creative.
Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah.
Stop psyching yourself out. We're gonna make something for your brand or your company or you, and you're gonna be blown away by all your ideas coming to life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've kind of like banked on that.
Yeah.
And so anyways.
But I like this idea. I do kind of like that sentence. Like, there's no such thing as art, only artists.
Oh, that's the illest.
And art
it
is
connects
just,
with me right now.
Yeah, and art is just, it's like, well, thing. Art doesn't exist. It's just there's stuff that artists do. Like, people are artists and there's stuff that they do. And like, because
that's so real.
And it's so easy, especially maybe as Christians, but like, or maybe it's just like conservative people. It's so easy to really shit on postmodern art and be like, oh, well, all this stuff, or like very performative, or what do you call it? Like performance art, where it's like a guy
formulaic.
A guy put a banana in the middle of a room and was like, this is art.
Taped a banana to
the
wall.
And people
the tape the banana thing was cool. The tape the banana thing was an experiment where he taped it to the wall to see if people would think it was art, and then people bought it.
The thing is, he already knew. To your point, he knew what he was doing.
Yeah, so I mean, it's easy to crap on that and be like, this isn't art, but like it is an interesting question. What is art? And I know it's a very I don't know. We're getting into philosophy and stuff. Dude, I'm so sorry.
Look, keep apologizing, please.
Gosh, dude.
You apologize one more time, I'm out of here, bro.
There's always... You know, Kyle...
Listen, I will take this mic stand to me, my grave. We will go on dates.
Do you think if you go too far this
Stop.
way...
It's going to come off.
Oh, man.
I like this more than like you right now.
Okay. All right.
This is my project.
All right.
I'm going to save this.
Yeah.
From being
Save it.
Save it. This is my pet. I'm going to buy it organic food.
Ooh, now you're really manhandling it. It probably wants that. It probably likes that.
Sorry, it really does.
No, it's not working.
It's
okay. I think if you come past...
Have you ever heard of positive thoughts and like speaking words into existence? Have you heard of that before?
Yeah, affirmations.
I'd like you to try that.
Okay. How do I do that?
Don't be negative.
Okay. Ooh. Not... Jeez.
Positive,
dude. It has
positive.
It has a thought. It has a. How about we'll just take it off and you just hold the mic.
Then you're really inconveniencing me.
Yeah.
Then we've really just given up.
Yeah, because what he's doing right now is very convenient. You're really missing the whole thing.
Sean. Yeah, DJ Sean. I gave someone who literally does audio and video production for a living the crappiest situation to be in right now. Which is like their microphone slowly. This would be driving me insane if I was you. If I was you, I would be.
But you see the difference, though. You think I'm joking
about what?
About how I'm enjoying this?
No, I know you're not joking. I know you're not.
I'm really not joking.
You don't enjoy, or you do?
I do enjoy this.
Okay. That's fine.
Does that have to do with being ADD? Because I'm not ADD, but I kind of feel like I am lately.
Are you not? Oh, Kyle just got a diagnosis.
I found out on Joe Rogan doesn't believe in diagnosed.
Oh, okay,
what?
sorry.
No, I believe now.
Joe Rogan believes that you just like pull yourself up by your bootstraps on everything.
You would have asked me last week, I would have said, no, it's not real, but I've been diagnosed.
You just dropped a bomb.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, my parents don't listen to this.
He's on the meds yet. What, Kyle?
I said my parents don't listen to this, so we're good.
You don't want your parents to know?
Well, my dad doesn't believe in it.
Can we talk about what you experienced and why you thought you needed to go talk to somebody about something to be diagnosed?
Yeah, I mean, it got to a point where really it was actually as my girlfriend has anxiety and depression, like diagnosed on medication, therapy.
Does she consume the Eucharist?
Now, see, people don't understand why it's funny because you're not Catholic.
So
I don't understand.
I laughed.
That was funny.
But the point is that I really, sometimes I wake up and I decide I want to understand other people. Some days I don't. But on one of the days where I did, I really broke it down. I was like, what's the difference between you having this clinical depression and me? Sometimes I'm sad, but I know I'm not depressed. And the way she explained it in a way that made sense to me was that it's rational versus irrational thoughts, right? Like if you're on the boat and you're going to Normandy and you're freaking out, that's not anxiety. That's very rational.
That's real. Or it is anxiety. It's not an anxiety disorder.
Right. It's not something...
It's healthy anxiety.
Right. And yes, you can
'Cause the
be
Germans are
depressed
coming.
when something bad happens and you are in a state of depression. That's different from the way some people experience anxiety and depression.
Yeah.
And for a long time that I thought that, oh yeah, I'm disorganized, I lose things, I don't like to focus because it's boring, right? I don't want to do my homework because it's boring. I don't want to do my job because it's boring. And I thought it was a pretty rational response to all of that.
Well, how long? You just said that. Has that been your adult life?
Oh, I've been struggling with focus for years and years and years, but I just kind of thought, it's honestly, it's kind of like a Christian mentality of like, I need to be perfect a lot, right? Maybe it's more of a Catholic guilt mentality than other denominations, but...
Well, I would like to explore this a little bit,
Sure.
if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So did you ever focus on something and you were like, I focused and that was dope?
Oh, yeah. Every once in a while, you'd be writing a paper, and it was like those rare occasions where you get to like choose your own topic, right? Sometimes it's like write a paper on any war, and then there's all these wars, and you don't like any of them, and it stinks. But every once in a while, I get to do something creative, something that I got to pick. I was like, that felt too easy. That was too fun. That was nuts. But even when that happens, there were certain traits of it that I never thought about until I researched the symptoms.
Because with ADHD or ADD, you can focus. It's just sometimes you focus on the wrong thing, or like you hyperfixate on something, or anyway, sorry.
Like, I'll give an example. Today I was messing around. I was thinking about this podcast, and I was like, I want to try to like edit a video. So I made a little like sports highlight one of this game I watched last week, and it was cool. I got the timing right. I liked my text, and then I got bored and I didn't want to finish it. I'd done all the hard parts, and I uploaded it, and I had to crop it. And I was like, I'll just like manually crop it on my phone instead of doing it in the editing thing and making it look good. That makes no sense.
It doesn't make any sense. You just ruined it right there.
Right. That thought process makes no sense. But that idea of not finishing a project you were excited about and having fun with, you just can't put the bow on it, is one of like the ADHD symptoms. And I was like, holy cow, man. I don't know if that's normal for everyone else.
Yeah.
But that's happened a lot of times, and just doing more research and then eventually seeing the doctor. I don't know. I'll be on medication soon. I don't know.
So
if I'll stick
how
with
the
it.
doctor? They give you a test?
It was honestly like if you Google online like ADHD test, do I have it? It's pretty similar to those. I had taken those, and I thought there's no way it's that simple. But the person I went to, it was just like whatever. You have trouble focusing on it. It's like 1 to 5, like never to all the time. All right. Do you put off things and have trouble getting like the spark? Okay, yeah, that happens. Do you lose or misplace things more frequently than other people, right? Yeah. And the way I determined that was like, all right, well, everyone has to Find My iPhone, but I've got the key tracker. Okay, but I also have the wallet tracker too. That's how you know it's bad. Once you need to get the thing to stick in your wallet, the tile for the keys, very normal. The wallet, bad.
You have a tracker for the thing that finds your tracker.
Well, that's a phone one because they go two ways. Yeah. If in the morning I can't find my phone to get my wallet to beep, I can find my keys and beep my phone and then beep my wallet.
And then you give a tracker to your girlfriend.
Oh,
or your phone. Like, because you might lose your tracker.
No, she got the login, and we make it work.
So I've heard a lot of it too is about like dopamine, like there's like dopamine levels are off, and that's why you're like on that's why people with ADHD often overuse like stimulants and caffeine and like constantly needing something. And I don't know. I mean,
so Kyle, that's amazing that you went through that. And I hope that whatever help you get is going to help you be happy. Cause like you've lived with these symptoms or whatever. I feel bad even saying symptoms.
Yeah, symptoms but I don't know a better word.
With these characteristics, you've lived with these characteristics.
That is so friendly.
For so long, and it is what it is. Like, I hold back like how I feel about that. But in my transition, in my emotional like transition with my life change situation, I'm like, bro, there's some situational things. You know how you have anxiety. You go through grieving states. You know, people deal with emotions. I have felt like, bro, I think this is what people with ADHD, I think this is what this is. It's like anxiety and, you know, stages of grief or whatever. And I've come from just being a super high productive person to knowing, like, having the vision of all the productivity of the things I want to do and accomplish and living with a different reality. And it's not quite, I think it's like like I'm in the season, so it makes sense that this I have, and I would call them for me symptoms.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't seen them in life like so in my face. Like, I want things to change so bad, and I can't make this change right now. I just feel like I have to go through it. And so, like, I'm hoping that as I go through these stages or whatever, and I start feeling stronger, then I won't feel so unable to focus or procrastinating or doing parts at a time. I'm doing parts at a time right now and things like that. And it makes me very unhappy about myself because I'm like, that's not normally how I've been. But it also makes me think, why was I doing what I was doing before this? Like, it's got everything in question.
Dude, yeah, all the mental health stuff. Well, we'll be back after a word from BetterHelp. BetterHelp.com/Kyle Can't Focus.
I went to that website.
Use that for 10% off.
Yeah, you pay.
No,
you go ahead.
One of the biggest things that they say is, like, if you're, because, like, you can kind of become a hypochondriac. You're like, well, maybe I have ADHD, maybe I have anxiety, maybe I have. And one of the things that I've heard people say is your situation interfering with your ability to, like, to work or live? That's
a normal thing when you go to a health professional. Say you go to your family doctor. And you're like, hey, things aren't really right. That's like number one thing they ask you.
But then it's this gray area, kind of like where Kyle is or where I've experienced, or kind of what you're saying, where it's like, well, I mean, it's not interfering, but this has been my normal my whole life. What if this is not the normal reality everyone else experiences? You know? And that was my story, was like, when I got on anti-anxiety meds, and I was very kind of like I was fine with other people taking them. For whatever reason, I had this thing in my head, but I never want to get stranded on a desert island and then have to, like, need things. Like things that I couldn't survive without, like, the idea of, like, needing, like, nasal spray and meds. Anyways, that never happened to me. That's probably I bet there's a therapist that hears that and is like, "That's because you have anxiety."
Wait, so you're saying if you were on a desert island, for stranded, some reason, you want your nasal spray? Is that what I hear you saying?
He doesn't want to.
I'm saying I don't want to have to need. Like, I would get anxious about these things.
I characterize that as a man. I'm like, dude,
I don't want.
As a man, I'm like, what can I don't want to be chained by nothing, bro.
Yeah, I don't want to have to, like, have withdrawals from caffeine addiction and anyways. But so then I got on some of these meds, and I remember just being like, asking the doctor, I was saying, is this what everyone feels like on this? Or is this just what normal people feel like? And he said, if you didn't have a problem, you wouldn't feel different. And I was like, oh. Because, like, that's kind of that for me was hard to argue with. Because
so now you feel less tied to some of these things? I want a clear picture.
I mean, there is part of me that wants to slowly probably wean off of it. I don't like the idea of being on it forever.
Medication. Yeah.
But who knows? And I think that's, personal opinion. It's not like I feel like other people should be that way. But, like, I do remember, he's like, well, just try this. It could just be temporary. And I got on it, and I was like, I feel very different. And I was like, well, but maybe this is just how people feel. Like, maybe if anyone takes a Xanax or takes whatever, I'm not on Xanax. But anyways, like, and
they are going to feel different.
But when he said, with this particular one, he was like, if you didn't have a problem, you wouldn't feel different. And I was like, I definitely feel very different. I feel very, very different. I've had a
doctor make that statement before too.
Because I was kind of in denial. Of course, I was like, I've been this way my whole life. Like, what? And it's never been a problem before. Like, what? And then he was like, and I was like, man, like, so like normals feel this way. But then there's also, to your point, where you're like, but that old me kind of was the superpower, though. Now I'm just kind of a normal. You know what I mean? You're kind of like, is that what makes you special and unique?
I think some people say that.
Yeah.
I have not. That's not been what I think. But I've been down roads with medication and stuff like that. Like I take allergy medicine. You know, I went to when I started working for the church, I had insurance, and so like I went to the asthma specialist.
Yeah.
And because I have really bad allergies.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Yeah, what we need to do is we need to do a test, but you have to get off of medicine for 2 weeks. Could you do that?" I was like, "Of course I couldn't do that." She goes, "I get it. You're right. You probably couldn't.
Yeah.
Keep taking your medicine.
Yeah.
You're gonna be okay."
Yeah.
Like, meaning these are the ones you should take. You're taking those. Cool. Double that one. Like, you know, off over the counter stuff. She's like, "This is the best if you're not gonna get these shots or whatever."
Yeah.
And so she did give me an asthma test though, and then she said I had asthma or whatever. Right?
Yeah.
I didn't believe it. No, I think I effed up the test.
Yeah.
I effed up an asthma test.
Dude, there's a little bit of this not believing. I mean, Kyle was saying he's just not sure he totally believes. I still don't totally believe
I don't know if I buy it.
Can I open the Pandora's box on this?
Yeah, do it.
Okay. Can I get personal though?
Sure, I guess.
Damn, I can't.
You can after a word from our sponsors. Personal.com.
I want to tell a BetterHelp story joke. I think this is the funniest thing in the world. Y'all remember when that Travis Scott concert happens and those people got trampled? Very sad. Well,
no, wait. Tell me what happened.
You don't know about this?
That happened at a Travis Scott concert?
Yeah, it was at Astroworld. It was maybe a year and a half ago.
Okay.
And there was just huge crowds. They all rushed, and a couple people got trampled. It was a big failure, whatever.
Died? People died?
Yeah, like 3 or 4 deaths, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I remember.
But he partnered with BetterHelp in the aftermath and offered it for free to anyone. And I thought that it was like a parody. I thought it was like an Onion article when I saw it because it's like the podcast thing. Like I have no idea. I've never gone on the BetterHelp website. Like I have no idea. Maybe it's good. Wild. Maybe it's not. But I was like, that's the funniest thing in the world. And the best part was if you took it, you couldn't sue. Like you had to sign over and say.
That's exactly.
And I was like, man, like. I was like, I don't know who I'm more disappointed in here. I was like, Travis probably didn't even look at this. I don't really blame him. BetterHelp. Did BetterHelp cold call Travis Scott? Say, hey, let me speak with Mr. Scott's
No, the
agent.
lawyer. There's a business person that Travis Scott is speaking to, and they're like, there has to be a business solution. There's a systematic way that's already
CYA. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna make a joke that you can tell Kyle has ADHD or ADD because when he's really into a conversation, he forgets to switch the camera angles.
I did switch. I've actually been pretty good about that today.
No, I don't, but I can just get a feeling now. Kyle and I have worked together so long that I can get a feeling that maybe Kyle's not switching camera angles. And there are some podcasts where I can tell that Kyle got really into the conversation because the camera will just stay for a really long time.
I did.
Wait, is that evidence of ADD maybe?
Maybe a little bit.
I think that's just like
I relate to that. That's what I'm saying. Like I would do the same thing.
Because what you're doing, Kyle, is a very difficult task. I mean, you're having to continue the camera switch while also you definitely want to be part of the conversation. You're kind of you forget that we're podcasting because we're so great. We're so artists at podcasting. The conversation feels so natural. You just get pulled in. You were gonna get personal.
No, I was just saying. I think there's a strength in having a belief system in regards to how you approach things in life. So
because you believe the Earth is flat.
No, but but I do probably have beliefs that other people think are completely and utterly ridiculous and maybe negligent. Like, there's been seasons in my life where I've had professional help for my emotional state. Mm-hmm. And the second time, it was the most difficult, but I got the best help. Because getting emotional care is hard to find. Like even a talk therapist, a counselor, right? Like that's really hard. And that's like a process.
You mean hard to find someone that you that you get with?
No, somebody that can help you.
Okay.
Mm.
And then then usually there's like a psychiatrist. That's a person who would prescribe medication. And then there's usually like a third party in there somewhere, whether that is
your wife,
a facility, another medical professional that's referred you to these people in places. So,
well, wait. So what are the problematic views that you hold, or what you said? views you hold?
Oh,
that-
because okay, so the second time I got to a cocktail of really good health professionals, and I did really well, really fast, and that's been a pattern. Like I'll be able to get to a point where I get better pretty quick. And so I had a psychiatrist, the last psychiatrist I had, and she was awesome. Psychiatrists are not talk therapists. You know, they're like, they listen, they ask you a question, they listen to you, and they write a note. They ask you a question, they listen to you, they write a note, and then they give you a prescription. You know what I mean? And so this one was so kind to me that she was like, let me like pull out the book to diagnose people, whatever that is, right? She pulled out this big, huge book and she opened it up and she goes, okay, so for you. And she was like, read it. And she's like, huh? She read it and she's like, uh-huh. She's like, okay, so let me describe what happens with people like you over time.
Yeah.
This. And I was like, and she goes, right? You get it? Cool. And for me, it was a huge click, a huge click.
Yeah.
Not because I didn't believe her, not because of anything, but I understood the process of thinking. She described to me her process of thinking, and I was able to understand the treatment for that process of thinking. And I, in my mind, when she said, okay, so you are blank, I said, no, I'm not. I'm so happy you described to me what blank was. But the treatment strategy helped me. Like, I don't disagree with any of the science. Who am I? Like, they got all the studies. Like, they know. She was able to describe to me, and I'm like, up to everything you're describing to where I'm at, spot on, totally got it. But I said, no, like, I'm not that. So for me, I welcomed the help, and I've continued to pursue a healing for me. And I have not lived that when you get diagnosed, especially nowadays, there's some blanket diagnosis.
Yeah.
And we have such great medical treatment, like with medicines. Like, and the treatment strategy is to stay on medicines. At least this is what the psychiatrist was telling me. For me.
Often that's like, yeah.
And that's the goal. And look, I totally get it. And I believe, and I know they help or whatever. But I have not stayed on those medications. And I grew in my character and my stability and my abilities and, my spiritual growth and all of that. And I had not seen those patterns go crazy. But, I'm walking in a season of life now where I'm like starting to see patterns again. I'm like, dude, I totally know. I know I've lived this before. I know this.
But so real quick, but when you go back and when you said that she described that and you were like, that's not me, but thank you for describing that. Are you saying that?
No, I did not receive that diagnosis as my sentence. Like a judge would say, you're guilty. You are.
Yeah. This is like, have you seen Taylor Tomlinson? Is it Taylor Tomlinson, Kyle? I've been telling everyone to watch this stand-up.
That's the one you talk about a lot.
Taylor Tomlinson, she has a stand-up where she talks about getting diagnosed with bipolar and just all the, and it's so good. And especially if you've had any, like, you going through all this, like, it's so funny. And she was like, she said her therapist was like, well, if you don't like saying you are bipolar, you could say you have bipolar. And so that helped her by instead of saying I am this way, like, I have some of this, or there's some bipolar like symptom, you know what I mean?
And what is it like, when you're going through hell, you want to figure, I wanted to figure, please label it for me so I can figure out how to do exactly what I just described.
Yeah.
Can you help me understand what I'm going through? Let's put a label on it. And so let's have a plan on how to deal with this, right? Like, totally, like,
but you're saying
New Yankee Workshop, like this old house, we're going to fix that leaky pipe.
But you're saying you believe, but your personal belief is that you kind of like what I was saying, like, you don't want to be on that forever. You don't want to be like in the meds.
No, especially true because, my story, I think, is a very common story, and the road to getting a good treatment is gnarly.
Yeah.
And so you're on medications or you're meeting
Dude,
bad
stuff. Yeah, and a lot of this stuff,
and
they
it's
have
whack.
no
It's
clue
bad.
how it works.
Yeah, but
They
this
have
is
no clue
if
how it
you've
works.
lived long enough where we live and
Yeah,
you
yeah.
go see doctors, you start to see trends.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
doctors are guessing too.
Yes.
They're just more educated.
Well, sometimes they're not. Well, so define educated, right? Because like
sometimes they're pumping pills.
Go
Yeah,
watch the
sometimes-
episode. Yeah, go watch the episode with Mary Bielski, who used to sell drugs to doctors.
Oh, that's a real thing.
And she would talk about like she had different scripts for different types of doctors. Some doctors want to go for cost effective. Some doctors want to go for
That's
cutting edge.
salesmen. That's being a salesman.
Yes, and we think the doctors are sitting there poring over peer reviewed, and it's like no, I mean they're just like normal people. They're
Ongoing education for a doctor.
Yeah.
Right?
You go to a conference, you hear like this thing's they're just like us. They're seeing a commercial.
The book is renewed.
They're going to a commercial, and they're like, that looks like it's gonna work. And then when someone asks, like, well, how did you come to this? It's like, well, it's very complicated. It's very
a salesman came and told me I got a pill for that.
I mean, and that's not to say don't believe doctors, but it's just that like the best thing you can do is take education on your own, like really get involved in it.
Yeah,
and not
like
just
this
be
is not like this is not the Bible or whatever you hold. Like this is part of the journey. This is part of the story. This is this is where we're at right now with these things. Yeah. And so that's really what I was saying is like, this is where we're at with this on your side of the story. I'm grateful for your help, but trust me, I couldn't live my life the way you're describing it in a way that I feel like is a good life or a faithful life to my beliefs with God. My beliefs with God like change often. Like, I prescribe to the idea that God is so beyond me that there's no way I'm going to figure all this stuff out, and is a journey. So, but like, I call it the Holy Spirit, bro. I felt like I was with the Holy Spirit, me, my crazy self, the Holy Spirit, you could name it. Like, nah, son, Sean, that's not you, but cool. Like this is not your what your path looks like in life. I understood that's what my path could look like.
Gotcha. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like I was like, for sure, that could be definitely it.
And the treatment stuff was more like a temporary, like let's try this for a bit, but we're gonna try to figure out other ways to.
No, like the treatment for me got me to think straight.
Yeah.
Bro, and once you are able to think, once I was able to think straight, therapy really helped a lot.
Yeah.
And then you pick up on what's working in therapy and you take that with you in life.
Yeah.
And so then you can get to the point where you're functioning really well, you're not having the same issues, and you're like, hey, psychiatrist, I don't think I need to be on the pills. Okay, well, what does your therapist say?
Yeah.
Go to the therapist. Hey, talk to the psychiatrist.
Yeah.
Say, what do you... The therapist goes, well, how are you doing?
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, go for it.
For me, it was like experiencing a new possibility for how my emotions could be regulated.
Yeah.
And so then now going back, still going through therapy and slowly trying to like maybe wean off a little bit.
Yeah.
It for me, what it did for me and what I'm hoping it continues to do is like, because I experienced the meds helped me experience a new chemistry in my brain. So then now when I go back to therapy, I'm like, okay, now I at least understand what the target could be. Like that's what a healthy brain feels like. To me, for the first couple weeks, I just felt like someone had drained all the energy out of the emotional part of my brain. And for a few weeks, I was just like, man, this feels bad. Like, I feel like I wouldn't even cry at my mom's funeral.
Oh, yeah.
And my therapist was just like, no, you're just super emotional. You just cry at anything.
Yes.
So to experience and then start to try to like meet in the middle somewhere and just go, okay, well, if I get a little healthier about the way I'm thinking and I'm doing some of this work, like it helps. Like, okay, now I at least know that that's a new possible.
Totally. And that, bro, reframing and understanding, like, that is crazy revolutionary. And that is some crazy big work, because it's almost like learning like the way you look, like thinking you look a certain way and realize, like, you know how like if like I used to be skinny and I'm not anymore, and in my mind I'm still skinny until I look in the mirror, I'm like, I am not skinny anymore.
Yeah.
Like emotional health can be like that. Like your whole life is clouded. And so, yeah, if you're trying to shoot for a target, the target doesn't exist yet. Like, oh, is that what a target looks like?
Yeah, I also describe it as like for the first time in my life, if an idea or some type of emotion or feeling or idea would happen, and like the door would open up to that path of like thinking this way and feeling this way and all of this stuff, right? Before my experience with meds, it was just like that door would open and it was just like, that's it, you're in there, right? Whereas now I would experience where the door would kind of slightly open, but I could decide to kind of close it and go, we're going to do that later. And I'd never experienced that in my life before. It always just been like, here it all is. And so then
with an idea,
with feelings, thoughts, emotion, it's like I could just like just a flood of like, okay, and now and people that know me, it's all internal. Like it's not like I'm crying. It's just like
totally.
And I just thought that was normal. I thought that's how everyone operated. And then when I would experience like being able to consciously go, you know what, we're not gonna think and feel all this stuff right now. We're just gonna finish our work.
So even if you're a 7 on the Enneagram, it's
wait, what? What's it? I forget what all the numbers are. What?
Yeah, it's like I'm saying it's not an inherent characteristic of a personality. You're saying like you've lived with this, but you don't necessarily have to live that way. It's not your personality. Now you might be still willing to explore emotions more than other people may.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to
and also because now that I've experienced the closing of the door, now when I'm trying to like come back off if I start feeling that like I can't close it, it's like I can remember, oh wait, remember when you used to be able to close the door? And I go, okay, well let me try to do that. Because I've experienced it before. It's almost like you've experienced this new pathway in your brain that was helped by medicine. So now you're trying to back off and go, let me just do this without the help of like, because the medicine really was deadening a lot of stuff.
Oh, it does.
And there was one point where we had to back off because I remember my doctor being like, all right, man, well, like a little bit of anxiety is good. Like it seems like you have none. It seems like you're not even.
Happy Gilmore with the guy with the nail in his head?
Yeah.
You come into the office, you got a nail in your head and like, what?
Yeah,
is that supposed to hurt?
He's like, we've been giving you this so you don't have anxiety, but now you're just not even getting out of bed in the morning. And I'm just like, well, things will work out. It's like, well, you got to work, dude. Anyway, but yeah, that's
what a journey.
Yeah, BetterHelp.com. Yeah, we're all on a journey, Sean. Isn't that how we feel? Right, Kyle?
We are on a journey.
And you know who just finished her journey? Queen Elizabeth II. She died, Sean. And I know you really wanted to come on this podcast because you wanted to talk about Queen Elizabeth II in honor of her. You've really modeled a lot of your career after her, a lot of your style, your political views, your geopolitical care. So
white people really like the British monarchy. Like my wife loves all things British.
Dude, yeah.
And my coworkers were freaking out when it happened.
Okay, or your coworkers were white. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, I work for a religious nonprofit. I thought we were going to get out of work early.
What I want to know is propaganda's take on Queen Elizabeth II dying and the public. Yet? I haven't looked.
You know, he's got a podcast.
Oh, I haven't listened. Was he free? Was he just tearing
white people up?
Yeah. Because we were all like, single tier.
Think about white people in America crying or caring about the British monarchy, not dissing the British monarchy.
Yeah, she's,
But, bruh.
Well, hold on.
Think about the implications.
I heard 21 Savage was pretty torn up, too.
Yeah, well.
Because he's British.
Did he get a tattoo on his face?
No, I don't think so.
Queen Elizabeth II. That'd be hilarious.
Well,
I have a question for you, DJ Sean. Here, what are your favorite record stores in Dallas? DJ Sean P. Excuse me.
You're the best. I love you. A lot of other white people call me DJ Sean, and I'm like, DJ Sean P. If you got to Google it, you're gonna miss it.
Yeah. DJ Sean P.
Favorite record stores in Dallas?
Yeah. I'm curious because sometimes I'll give unsolicited opinions on it, but no one really listens.
And I like to go to all the places.
Yeah.
And, shopping for records now is very different than it had been in the recent past and even when I was a younger person.
I was gonna say I've only really been into it for maybe 5 years, and it's changed even in that short period of time.
I am finding everywhere I go that the quality of records that are at stores has been worse and worse and worse.
When you say quality of records, do you mean selection or like pressing?
No, the actual
I agree.
record itself.
Okay.
So
They're mass producing them, I think.
Well, I don't buy new records.
Sure.
Okay, so I buy old records. So meaning like the willingness for a store to sell a record, they're selling crap and saying it's not crap.
Now, do you think it's also on the supplier side, right? 10 years ago, you find dad's old records in the closet, you maybe don't do anything with them. But if you find dad's old records nowadays, you're like, oh, I'm taking this to Josie's tomorrow to go get some money.
I don't know. I've always lived my life with records.
Sure.
So that doesn't apply to me like that. I don't think that way. I've always thought records are a thing. They're around. There's stores. There's people buy them. There people sell them. So, the popularity has grown for sure. I think this supply thing. I think because records are consumed more and people are more willing to buy old records now, that's why maybe a retailer would be more willing to sell a record at a price and market as a VG plus,
Right.
and it is a fair or a poor. You know what I mean? And just because the fact the record may be rare, they'll still sell it. Some retailers at a price that it would be playable, and some, gratefully enough to me, they'll market at a price that is consumable, that I can purchase it. I don't purchase really expensive records. So the stores, they're pretty much. There's a lot of criteria to cover, but overall, if you were just to Google a record store and go to it, I'm seeing a lot of the same type of stuff. Like basically, you're gonna find records that are in poor quality and overpriced, but it's cooler now. I feel like it's easier to find more eclectic records, where before we live in an area. Right now we're in an area that it's not very eclectic, and so the records would not be eclectic. But now there's more eclectic records. So I think it's depending on what you're looking for, gives you an answer to your question.
That's fair.
So if you're looking for new records, I guess anywhere that sells records has new records.
But it's so different though. Like Josie's selection
would be probably the best selection for new medium.
But Josie's is continually sold out. Their prices are way higher than I'm a Good Records guy over by the Arboretum. I think Good Records, their selection is so much better curated.
And is it all new records, cheap. Right?
It's all new records.
Yeah.
So it's not your speed.
Good Records have had several different stores, and I've shopped with them since they've opened. And so they've had a great selection of new records as far as I always remembered. And so
I like Good Records, and I like Forever Young in Grand Prairie.
Right,
I think Forever Young rocks. I don't like Josie's.
What do you find at Forever Young that you like?
Is that they do new records, and they have the best 90s alternative new and used section I found.
For what medium? Vinyl?
For records, for vinyl.
Sick.
And it's niche, and you don't find it anywhere else. Now, you're
not talking about punk rock records. You're talking about, I'm
talking about emo, but if you think about emo music, there's all these different waves. Before My Chemical Romance, Captain Jazz, American Football, Mineral, that
indie,
sort of thing.
Are they 45s or are they LPs?
They're all LPs. There's a few 45s.
And they're not newly pressed? They're not.
Occasionally you'll find, they have some represses, but they will have the new used section, they call it, where it's it's used, but not really.
Because popular rock or alternative rock wasn't pressed on vinyl in the 90s.
Oh, it's so hard to find. Yeah.
Well, no, it just wasn't really. And then so now they press it, is what I'm saying.
Right, but I'm saying you can still find my favorite record ever is, Elephant Six?
No.
Elephant Six was this recording collective. Really, it's one of those cult things. If you've heard of it, you probably think it's the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
I have and do. Balua is a band I loved. They pressed it in '96. It's 10,000 copies of this one.
So it's
of an LP. It's impossible to find.
Is it a Gate album?
It's not a Gate, just a slide out. and it's impossible to find on Discogs. You're looking at $300 to $400.
Right, yeah, that makes sense.
But that one wasn't a record store. That was I'm in a Facebook group of the band's fans, the biggest Facebook group ever of the band's fans. It's like 95 people. And like someone like posted in some store in Arizona, and you had to call them. They can't even sell it to me because it doesn't scan in the system. But that to me is so fun because it's an era where there's not a lot of people who are into that.
That's what I'm saying. Like punk has always like pressed their own 45s and stuff like that. And indie rock, you know, they press vinyl and stuff like that. So I'm with you on that. Like that's what's fun to find. That music that was pressed in an era, in a time, and finding that stuff. So yeah, like I don't want to say anything bad about certain record stores.
And I do like Josie's. I'm kind of came off as a hater.
But I think anybody that shops for records and has gone to Josie in the last few years can understand, like, there's a thing, right? Like, it's if you're going to look for a record, you may not find it, but they still have the most records.
They have the most,
but you may not find your record. You know what I'm saying? And it's not like they have bad records.
No, there's great stuff.
I think they're graded well. I think that they don't sell crappy records for the most part. As from my experience, where other record stores, it's like, oh, come on, this is totally such a farce. You know what I mean? But I'd still try to go to new stores all the time. And usually when I go to a store, I spend 5 hours.
Oh, wow. You check it all out?
Like, I plan on spending 30 minutes, and I'm there for hours and hours and hours. And I end up going through most of the records. Like, Josie, I couldn't do that. But, like, normal places, I will go through every single record in the store.
So what are some...
Are you able to play records before you buy them, like there?
Yeah, but you know, okay, if once you have enough and you know, like, you don't have to play them to know what they sound like.
Gotcha.
Like, and so I'm not like, I at this point I've always bought records for novelty. So, you know, if it's in poor condition, I'll buy it if I really want it, and I don't really care. You know what I'm saying? But it's because it's not like I'm playing this, like DJing with this live.
Yeah.
But most of my records are DJ records, and they're singles. So.
Oh, okay. I mean,
so
that would make sense. You've probably got a ton of singles.
You know, and I came up with being a hip hop DJ, and so I bought hip hop singles, and so that has continued to be my favorite records to buy and collect and have, and so that's where the name of my studio is called 12s, and it's from 12-inch.
Sure.
And so like the videos that we talked about earlier, they're hashtag 12s crates. And so they always start from a 12-inch. And so I have a couple new series coming up. One is a series of interviewing influential DJs and people in the music industry telling me what their favorite 12-inch single is. Cool. And so I'm so excited to get that out. And I've recorded 3. I have one on Friday that I'm recording. But so those 12-inch singles usually play the best. Because they're louder, they're more clear, they have the most fidelity because you don't have to cram so much.
Yeah, if you got one song on 12 inches, that tracks.
Right. And
so when did you first? I don't think I ever asked you, even on the first podcast.
Yeah, we didn't talk about music.
When did you first? Because you said you've always been into records. Like, when did you? Were your parents into music, or like?
Yeah, like every other person's parents. But my parents' collection was always kind of like in the living room.
Okay.
So it's not like they always played the records, but at any time I knew where the records were. Okay. You know what I mean? But so I was a skateboarder, and skateboarding and music have always been real tight. And
where'd you grow up?
I was 10 years old in Louisiana from birth to 10, and then we moved to Dallas.
Oh, what part of Louisiana?
Eunice, Louisiana.
Eunice, what's that?
Dude, he's from Louisiana.
It was south central Louisiana. So it's south of Lafayette.
There we go. Okay, yeah. I grew up in Covington, across the lake from New Orleans until Katrina.
Okay, cool. So yeah, St. Landry Parish.
Yeah.
So in Eunice is the Cajun capital of St. Landry Parish, and it's a cultural hub. So I grew up, speaking Cajun French and learning to play Zydeco instruments and stuff like that. Like, that was part of our education.
What's that? Can you bring that up, Kyle? What's a Zydeco instrument?
So we had a Zydeco radio station in town, and we had Zydeco bands. Like
what is Zydeco?
Well, let's see what Google says it is, because I'm going to probably give you.
It's a very Louisiana thing.
Yeah, it's
a genre of music.
Yeah. It's
Okay, okay.
French jazz folk music.
Okay.
Yeah, I would label it as French jazz folk.
Okay.
And so like where I grew up, we spoke Cajun French.
Wow.
Like we first grade, I think we start.
Can you still speak a little?
No.
None.
No, like
No
you hear,
words or
like
anything?
there's no. I have no accent when I
But do you
came.
need the accent to say it? Like, can you just?
I'm not
speak
gonna
some of the
do it.
words. Okay, that's
You,
fine. I'm
where's
not
the
gonna pressure you into
donuts?
it.
Yeah, you're not gonna give me
I'm
any
not gonna
donuts.
pressure you into it.
I'm
but
not gonna. But I'm proud. I'm proud of the town I was born in. I'm proud of the heritage because it's really rich. But with skateboarding, like I adopted that as like my identity as a young kid, and like hip hop and skateboarding when I came up were like really tied together. So I learned about music from the skateboard videos I consumed and stuff like that, and the fashion that was going on was very similar to hip hop. And so like, and when we moved to Texas, you know, we moved into a little apartment complex in Lancaster, and you know, I was right a huge cultural shift.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that rap music was a big thing when I was a kid. Beastie Boys, Sir Mix-a-Lot, you know, Vanilla Ice.
yeah.
And then I came to Texas, and like everybody in the apartment complex, you know, all you listened to was hip hop and R&B. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think that I just really absorbed that. And so I participated in hip hop things as an adolescent. So like hip hop, like culturally you do certain things. You have a tag, you have a moniker, you break dance, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You learn to rap and freestyle.
Yeah.
And so that was just part of the people I was around and the things I liked. And I really just took that on. And more so, it was a revolution that was kind of happening in the mid to late 90s,
Yeah.
especially across different cultures and people. So like there was a resurgence of that, and I really kind of bought into that. So I was into music, and I did, you know, I freestyled and I did graffiti. I was not a good break dancer, but I was bold. Like I would try to do backflips.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would skip class and hang out with the break dancers
Dang.
in the gym. But yeah, but like I bought some turntables like in high school. Right out of high school, I worked at Blockbuster, and I put some turntables on layaway at First Cash Pawn in Dallas, and I just paid a little bit every time I got a paycheck. You know,
Dude.
and so, dude, when I got those turntables, and the first turntables I got, you know, back then you would look for pawn shops that had Technique 1200s, and
Yeah.
they would be around $300 or $200 each. And so now I don't even know what they are. So my first set, my friend has. The second set I have right now, I've had since mid 2000s, and I've had lots of different turntables on top of that. I have scratch turntables.
Cool.
So when I tour, I usually use a scratch turntable. It's a Vastex PDX 3000, and so that's just a hefty duty turntablist, like trick turntable.
What's your first, like, what's your earliest fond memory of a record? Like, what's your earliest,
yeah.
like when you, maybe your parents played one or something where you were like, this is magic. Like this whole idea.
Well, the Beatles, number one. But I remember my mom cleaning and playing Madonna.
Wow.
You know, cleaning that. You know how like on the weekends when like the
Yeah.
lights are out and the shades are open, and the
Yeah.
lights coming in,
Yeah.
and my mom's cleaning and like Madonna, like a virgin, is playing. Like I remember that. But for me, once before I was able to buy those turntables from the pawn shop, I took my mom's old Technique direct drive turntable. I took it apart because it was an automatic turntable.
Sure.
So I tried to break
can't
it.
DJ with it,
So
yeah.
right, but then I took it apart, and I took springs out and stuff and put it back. And I put some stuff underneath it, and I bought a mixer because I could afford a mixer first. And so I used that, and I cut like comic book. My brother was like 7 years older than me. So as a child, you know, we had the children's records, but we still had some of his like comic book records. So like I just scratched sounds on that. And I just remember buying those first few records at Elements Records on Jefferson Street in Oak Cliff, and there's a hip hop shop, and there's something about like putting it on the turntable and the way it smells, and then the way like a scratch sounded, and there's like a whole like experience with like smelling this thing that's kind of dusty and kind of weird, and like the old mechanics of the stuff. It kind of smells like dirt and oil, and
So
it
it's
heats
an
up.
odd smell, yeah.
Like I don't know. It's just like, and then like the tape deck, like, you know, because I had like a turntable mixer and a tape deck, and so even tapes, like all of it was old stuff. And then so that experience felt like I'm like in a cockpit of a jet or something. Like it felt like you're in something that has a lot of history, and I get to turn the key on this. You know what I mean? And so those records were those random records that I started first putting on turntable for me would be like Band on the Run. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like sampling that and just those comic book records, and then the first rap records ever, like, because, you know, trying to find those underground rap records and getting those were always from LA at the time. I was really into that stuff, like LA Symphony. And
when you
stuff
produce music, do you feel a little bit of this? Because like when you're producing music, like there's a digital version, or I guess I don't even know the correct terms for it, but there's a difference between sampling an actual analog thing that makes a noise, or going into Ableton and like clicking a button and it makes the noise, right? Like,
you got it.
Is there some tension? There? Like, or do you have thoughts or feelings about that? Or is it
you
just
should
like,
embrace all of it. Like I tell myself, embrace all of it, even if it doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
Embrace it, because you can make it feel good somehow.
Phew, put that on a t-shirt.
Dang.
We're selling those t-shirts on patreon.com/the studio
Hey, the
grapevine.
mic stand's feeling good.
You know,
all of
you
a
can make
sudden.
anything feel good if you make it feel good. Embrace everything. Kyle and Sean are going to make out during this next break.
All right, we're at an hour 15.
Kyle, did you have another question? I have some topics.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. I have some topics.
The other question, I wanted to run past him this idea that I had recently, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I've DJ'd a couple weddings, probably 7 or
go!
8, a couple of like small events, right? Just very low level, like Serato, illegally downloading a couple tracks and mixing them with my Cash America mixer, right? And it's a lot of fun. And
So wait, do you have the Serato interface, like a Serato box? Is that what you're using?
No, it's on my laptop, and it plugs into like a mixer.
But there's a sound. You have to have a sound card that interacts with it.
I've just got it's a USB mixer device.
That's what it is.
Yeah,
Got it.
And I bought it at the pawn shop.
Got it.
And I'm
Understood
having
that.
a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah.
But ultimately, what I've come to realize is that there's really two types of DJs. There's actual DJs and there's event DJs, right? And I was like, okay, well, there's two different Reddits, and they both hate each other. It's very funny.
That was awesome. That's
But-
revealing to me. Okay.
But what I was thinking about is like I have all these records. I don't have a ton of records. I probably have about 200, mostly new, modern indie rock. You
Let's
know,
go.
We've got the couple of Kanye's. We've got the couple of whatever other rap albums. You know,
But if you played your records for us right now, and we had Topo Chico's and maybe something a little extra, we would have a great
well,
time.
that's my idea. My idea is I want to start DJing at coffee shops.
Yeah.
Because I think I've got all the music I'm listening to is what you're hearing, like a hit coffee shop.
A hit coffee shop,
And-
baby, not a regular one.
Not a regular
Get a
one, like
hitter on
maybe
that coffee shop.
Redefine, maybe Brew and Batter, but you know.
But this is just something you would just voluntarily do?
Well, the idea is that
Look, the man is trying to dream.
Well, no, I'm here for it.
So the first step is to do it a couple times, because first I would want to buy a second turntable, right? Because
Yeah.
I've got the one right now. It's direct
Yeah.
drive, so I could do it off it. I've messed around trying.
And can you plug your turntable into that device that you talked about earlier, the USB device?
I don't know if I can, but I can get a cheap 2-channel mixer for not too much and just
An
manually-
analog mixer.
Yeah, an analog mixer.
Kyle, your idea is to DJ as a performative thing, or to DJ just to make sure that as people are working, the music in the background
vibe
is the best.
right.
Just
Get
the vibe at the coffee shop.
vibe,
The
right.
idea is I thought
Okay.
it would be an ideal Sunday morning is like waking up, going to the coffee shop for 4 hours, spinning, a bunch of different indie songs.
Praise God.
And then getting out of there, I would like to receive some sort of money, but just getting
Let
out
it
of there
go.
with enough money to go to the record store and
No.
buy 2 new records.
And this is kind
Because
of
I want to spend all of the money on the hobby.
But this
is
is
the
kind
idea.
of like being the radio DJ, right? Like this is that's the same
selector.
idea.
It's called the selector.
You're selecting music. It's not necessarily performative. Like you're not like mashing songs together and like you're just like you're picking.
I would just
you have the aux cord in the car,
which
you have control of the aux cord.
Is more fashionable now.
I think it's the right time. Yeah.
Well, that's what is favorable. Like right now,
is a DJ who picks the right songs.
A selector.
Okay.
Like the crowds nowadays do not care about mixing and blending. The crowds nowadays care about the person interacting with them in a way that seems human. It's almost like what content is going to work on TikTok? Be a human.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so like as a DJ, what we're talking about, the selector is the heart of it, but it seems like you know, celebrity DJs now, we used to clown on celebrity DJs, but the thing is the crowds are more willing to have a DJ that they identify with and they like to hear from and are interested in hearing what they're playing. It's not about the technique. It's not about this or that. It's where I come from, you couldn't mess up.
Dude, I turned on the radio the other day and Delilah. Do you know Delilah on the radio?
Hey there, Delilah.
No. The radio station Delilah. Delilah.
I thought that was like a...
Turn this on. Love song. She's a woman. She's been on for years. She's been on the radio station. And you would call in and tell her about like the love of your life or whatever. And she would select. She'd pick a song.
I know
for you.
about this.
Delilah, the radio station. She'd pick a song for you. An American radio personality, author, songwriter.
This is actually on the radio waves? Like you tuned in on a dial?
When I was a kid, man, dude, nothing got me more...
Ooh. Okay, more what?
In my feelings. Alone at night in bed, thinking about the 8th grade crush I had was listening to Delilah. Which I know a lot of people are
Maroon 5, Pink, Adele.
It begins at 7 p.m. and ends around midnight. I mean, I would.
Contemporary.
She takes calls from listeners in her home studio, providing encouragement, support, and receive. Can we hear some of her? You got to hear her voice because it's like she's just very soft spoken. She's like believes in love, you know. Like she really.
Can you give us the best Delilah impression?
It just was like it's just very
ring.
Well, hey there, listener.
I can't. Am I on the air?
You're on the air. Go ahead,
Delilah. I'm such a big fan. I'm a first-time caller.
Thank you.
I'm a little nervous. So,
well, is there
do I need to turn the radio down in the background?
Yeah, turn the radio down. Just go ahead and just tell us about who you're thinking about tonight, Sean.
Well, I'm afraid to admit it, but
we all are.
Her name is Josie.
Ooh.
She's my babysitter.
Oh, and is Josie listening to the radio right now as well as we're talking here?
I hope she is.
All right. Well, Sean, we're going to contact your parents, but go on and thank you for calling in. We're going to take you off the air. I'm going to pick a song for you and Josie, your babysitter.
Thank you, Delilah.
I think now we're going to play Hot for Teacher by... Listen to her. Listen to her.
Here's more soft rock with me, Delilah, on KQ.
I wish I didn't see her face.
I've actually never seen her face. Can you go to like her on a call or something? It's like, oh, here you go. Here you go. Back up a little.
And then you got a divorce.
Oh.
Candy, how much I love her.
Candy, your daughter, Candy, her mother.
Candy, her mother. Haley's my daughter.
Okay.
And I love both of them tremendously. But the relationship that Candy and I are starting with is something that we wanted from the beginning, and I wasn't available for that. And
but you were available for Jack Daniels.
Oh, well, yes, I was.
And Jim Beam.
Yes, I was.
And all those other buddies you hung out with.
Absolutely.
I mean, she's like a real radio host.
Absolutely.
Or a real radio personality, like what you imagine in the 90s.
Happened? You were together, she got pregnant. Were you ever married?
Yes, we were. We were married for a few years.
And then you got a divorce.
And we bought a house. Actually, I left the home because I had more important things to do.
That's right. Go hang out with those guys I mentioned.
Oh, yeah. Yes, very much so. And
Delilah's got
we've
sass.
always been in contact, of course. But
she
we
gives it to
started
him straight.
talking, about 6-8 months ago. And it just kind of went from there. And one night I asked her out for dinner. And she said, no, let me come see you. We live in different cities now. And
and how long have you been sober?
I've been sober a year tomorrow.
Okay, we don't have to listen to all this.
Yay!
Anyways.
I wish I had a coin to give
She's
you.
no Terry Gross, but...
No, she's not Terry Gross. I mean, she's not... Yeah, she's not talking politics. She's talking something a little more important, Sean. love. Okay,
That's the ultimate truth.
People call it, but you can imagine, or maybe you can't imagine, or maybe this is too revealing. But you like in me in like 6th grade, like with my little like CD player, listening to the radio, and I like tune in like late at night, laying in bed, start hearing some of these stories about
I'm
love.
holding myself back from analyzing the situation,
dude, and I feel like, oh
That's
man,
so funny.
dude, and Delilah would really get me going.
She's got the perfect name for it, and I'm glad we can see her
Alisha.
face. I think that's exactly what she should look like. This kind.
That's the thing. It's more interesting to imagine in your own mind.
Yeah,
she
yeah.
looks exactly
That's
like her voice.
like you, yeah. But I'd never until today seen her face. I always had an image in my head of.
I don't want to see Terry Gross's face.
No, you don't.
I love Terry
No,
Gross.
I'll tell you, I've seen it. You don't. You don't want to see
I
it.
hope she's not. I really enjoyed
just
Terry
joking.
Gross. You know, you fantasize about Delilah maybe
Hey,
or whatever.
fantasize is a strong word. I was not fantasizing about Delilah, but I get what you're saying.
Listen to Terry Gross and go, I wish I could bump into her at a cocktail party. And like, what would I say to Terry Gross if I bumped into, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's talk about this book I just read. Terry.
Just start boring her about some book you read.
But she already read it, probably. You know what I mean? I'm getting the facts all wrong.
This
It's
is
like, how
Terry
could
Gross.
But it's like, how could I impress her?
Yeah, dude.
And that's the one person you could probably never.
No, not
Like-
with a book.
Because
you
she
read.
always asked the tough questions too. I would tell her something and she would just wreck me. I
Oh
think.
yeah, dude. She just has talked to everybody.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah.
thing. Like, you can't out experience her. Like, what? Because it's like, yeah, what's your go to at a party? Like, you know, what's the conversation starter? It's like,
But apparently, when they do the interviews, you have to go to a sound booth thing, and you just hear her in your headphones. Like you don't. They just do it over.
yeah,
Like you're not seeing her. You're not seeing video.
not
You just
know
heard
that.
suddenly Terry Gross is in your ears. One of my favorites was not Chris. Was it Chris Rock? I think it was Chris Rock and Terry Gross. That was a really good interview.
which one went really bad?
It
Which
was a
one
little
was it?
combative. Chris Rock and Terry Gross was a little combative.
When people are combative with Terry Gross, it's so off-putting. Because number one, most people come on her program, respect her highly,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And they would never. But
Well, she was pushing because he had made some what she might consider homophobic jokes.
Oh, yeah.
And he was just like, I say stuff. And then she was trying to
this
really
is a newer one.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
the last couple of years. And he was like, I just say things, and she was like, well, do you think it was like irresponsible for you to say? And they had a different opinion about it, right?
Of course, you're talking to a comic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? These are the smartest people on earth.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And then you're talking to Terry Gross.
Who analyzes the smartest people on
Yeah,
earth?
exactly. Anyways, I don't know how we got on Delilah, but
This is great.
she was the.
Oh, we're
she's
talking about different types of DJs.
You and Delilah are the same. You and Delilah share, and Kyle, since you're a DJ now.
Wow.
Delilah, one of the most famous DJs of all time, because she selects.
Well, what he was
songs.
saying is that he's different because he's saying that nowadays it's all about the selection, the technical skill.
So she
is
selects.
almost an afterthought. So
She selects.
she was ahead of her time.
Because you call in, you tell the story, and then she goes, "Well, let me pick a song for you that represents."
So
You know,
some
like,
radio DJs are the programmers,
okay.
and some radio DJs are not allowed to be the programmers. There's actual radio programmers that program the radio.
It would be interesting to figure out if Delilah actually was picking.
Well, if she's been in the game a long time, she definitely is a selector and a programming person. In smaller radio stations, you know, you could be the personality and the programmer, but like on a mainstream station, like a Clear One station, or whatever, no way, bro.
Okay.
Like you can't even pay enough to play the song. You know, but what? So with the advent of Serato for DJs. That's like opened the world to me. I was buying records before Serato and stuff.
What's Serato?
It's the
like-
program that allows you to play songs that are on a record that are not on a record. Like you can use a computer and manipulate
Gotcha.
the music. And now, like, you don't have to have a thing to manipulate the music. It's just a program that allows
you
you
just
to
get, like,
play
that-
songs and mix songs.
That like blank disc thing, right?
I don't know. I like the vinyl control, but I stopped using Serato once I started working for the church and stuff, and I was like, okay, I'm going to let go of professional DJing. I did not open Serato for 2.5 years. Like, I don't want to use it because it's so much more fun to actually use the actual record, but it's much harder to DJ with. But so what I continued to do is scratch and record scratches for people that want to hear scratching on their song. But once I was at the church, I stopped doing all that stuff too. So like I'm not a good scratcher anymore. Like I practice now. Sometimes I'm like, oh dude, like I'm really bad. But that was where I came from. The whole point I wanted to bring up about Serato is DJ AM is like the poster boy for the DJ that we knew about from like the 2000s to 2010. Like the technology allowed him to be a superstar DJ. He was a technical hip hop DJ, but then he was able to play any song in the whole world, and he was brave enough to play any song, and he became a massive commercial DJ. And so he was kind of the mold of what was not normal, became the mold of what was normal now for DJing. And so that was the era of me professionally DJing. I call it the party rocking DJ era, where you're such a good DJ that any crowd you go to, you should be able to select the right songs. You have the ability to have every song in the world on your laptop, and you should be able to rock the party. And the techniques that you learn from the technical side of DJing only enhance
they carry over in a big way,
only enhance your show. But I mean, I definitely saw a transition like into electronic music, and I loved DJing electronic music. That for a small period of time I was like, dude, am I an electronic DJ now? Because I loved playing that music. It was so hype and new and fresh. But like, there were more and more parties where people did not care, and I knew, like at the coffee shop, if you had a background gig, I had to find my reasons to enjoy that gig, because unless you're at a really uber hip spot where you're like looked at as like you're the celebrity, like you're the selector, where you're part of the coolness of this shop.
Yeah.
I'm coming to get this coffee, but also kind of to take a picture because DJ so and so is here.
Yeah.
That's the thing, but that's rare. But like, so if you're DJing and people are paying you to DJ, you pay in the background sometimes. Like I was hired to play at a clothing store for several years.
That's cool.
And and it was like a selector thing, but to make it fun, I practiced little routines with these random songs and did tricks and stuff like that. But that was to keep my attention. Maybe that's the ADD thing. I don't know. So I forgot where I was going. The whole point, the DJing is changed over time. It'll continue to change.
And I completely agree with the selecting thing. It's all like my generation, I'm 25, seems to care about. The kids, Edmund and I went to a really small Catholic college in Ohio, right? So when you go to this really small college, it's about the size of a typical high school, about 2,500 undergrad. You have trends that exist in your college but aren't national. If you go to a really big school, there's still trends at Ohio State, but it's so big that
it's a melting pot.
Right. But at Franciscan, you have all these like specific things and like specific songs that maybe were briefly hit the top 100 but didn't stay.
Yeah.
But for some reason in Steubenville, Ohio, that song rocks.
Yes.
And that's the funny part, is that by DJing there, I know the songs because it's all kids I went to college with who are getting married and can't pay a real DJ, so they call me and I'm like, all right, I was going anyways.
DJ,
it means a lot to me.
Bro, let's get you a plaque. Let's get you a pin.
Well, it's like the Queen of England, right? She gave people the Sir, and I don't know how you get the DJ label, but coming from another DJ, I think that counts.
Where's my records? I will hand you a record.
So if we were to do an event here, what would make it?
This podcast is going downhill.
What would make it worthwhile if we were to do an event here at the studio? We could do a live stream. We could live stream it.
Live stream would be a nice touch.
That'd be fun. But also people could come in person.
Yeah.
And if we did like a DJ, if we did a DJ Sean P, DJ Kyle, is that your DJ name?
No.
What's your DJ name?
I can't think of one.
DJ Boom Bazaar, baby.
DJ Boom. That's the record store I work at to pay for working at a nonprofit.
Oh, dang it.
That's where I make all the money.
DJ Adorjan.
I do like the BB though. My college household nickname was a B and a B. It was Burning Bush.
Burning Bush.
Yeah, very.
Big
but if we were doing an event here, what would we need to do to really like kick it up a notch? Or like what would make it interesting?
People.
Okay, people.
People and loud music and drinks.
And like maybe like sampling stuff from the crowd or something, or like we got to do, or like what type of music?
Stop.
Okay, I'm complicating it.
No, it's like you're wearing Birkenstocks and you're saying stuff somebody wearing Birkenstocks would say.
Okay, yeah. I'm being dad.
How can we make it different? That's like us, right?
That's interact. We could have a podcast during it.
I think having
make the whole thing a podcast while DJing it while people are here.
Absolutely.
A live podcast DJ.
Take the cameras off the wall, bro, and just like
Well,
have
we
an
can do it in the
experience.
front room. Do them in the front room.
No. People can hold the cameras and walk around.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah. I'm picking up what you're putting down here.
I'm just saying, have a party. That's all I'm saying. But you guys
Let's have a big party here. Let's do it.
Yeah, a
We're
party.
planning
The
it.
only thing you need for a party is people and good attitudes and loud. Like, I prefer making it loud. Having low dim lights is a thing too, or doing something with the lighting is always important.
It has to feel different.
I had on LinkedIn, on my DJ, I had a wedding DJ business for a while, and on my wedding DJ LinkedIn page, I had tips to make your dance floor pop off. And so I'm kind of naming some of those. One of those was just like, bro, like, you got to turn down the lights. Like, you just got to turn down the lights.
Yeah.
But anyways.
So, Kyle, what's your take?
I think having a keg is cool because I think that just the symbolism of the draft beer is exciting. It's fun. It's different. You can't get it at home unless you're really into it. I think it'd be big.
I think we can do it.
Yeah.
We make it a podcast.
All right, we got to close out with Rex here because I actually care about DJ Sean's Rex.
Oh yeah,
the most important part of the podcast.
Oh, I'll go quick at first. I watched Thor: Love and Thunder. It was definitely worth watching. Way better than the most recent Doctor Strange into the multiverse of madness or whatever. That was just not that great. I mean, it was visually really cool, but I would rank Thor: Love and Thunder above that, and it was good. It was entertaining. I liked it. Thor: Love and Thunder.
For context, you can give a recommendation for anything. I always do I'll do it right now. For
he does like a music.
I do an album and I do a TV show and a movie, but I'm gonna run out of TV shows really soon. For TV shows, I watched the Tim Robinson I Think You Should Leave. It's like a bunch of short sketches. I thought it was really funny, and this is very cliche, but you gotta understand with classic movies, a lot of times they're not really enjoyable to watch in this day and age. It's just you watch them because it's a classic and you have to watch it. I watched Goodfellas. It is none of the above. That movie is insane. It's so exciting, so good. I feel a little bad for making it 25 years without seeing it, but it was totally worth it. And I'm on a mission to evangelize everyone in my peer group. You got to sit down and watch it. Find a way. And for albums, because I'm wearing my Astros hat today, we're going to go with UGK, the self-titled album, the one... Underground, no, not the self-titled. Give me Riding Dirty, the first one.
Yeah.
I like those two, but Riding Dirty is ultimately more exciting.
I have Riding Dirty on wax, on vinyl, the clean version.
The clean
version only exists.
Clean version?
Yeah, only exists on vinyl.
Really?
And so if you want to play it for your kids, you can, and it's highly recommended.
I mean,
seriously, it's a
great
really
album.
good album. Really, yes, good recommendation.
Sean, what's off the top of your head?
You gotta go with the hat.
Off the top of your head.
Well, I did recently watch a movie that was super awesome. Old Country for Men, something like that.
No,
What's that?
No Country for Old
Country
Men.
for Old Men?
Yeah, both
I think that's
Brokeback,
a parody.
Country.
Yeah.
No, I also watched Garden State.
Oh, spectacular.
So Garden State.
Edmund and I saw the Shins a couple weeks ago.
Good for you. That's a Garden State type of song.
So there's two Shin. That movie
the
put
reference.
them on the map.
Yes, yes, it did. Right with the elevator scene.
Also, they were fantastic. In concert, they were fantastic.
I bet they are. They're fantastic at a coffee house too when you play it.
I've got the album on wax. That's what I'm saying.
And then I would recommend. A
better Mike Garb.
We want Miles Davis album.
We Want Miles. I don't
We
know
Want
this
Miles.
song.
I think that's what it is. I posted it recently. I got a hold of a lot of Miles Davis records, and I played that one, and it was awesome. It's very abstract and a perfect background music while you work. It's so good, and the graphic artwork and photography is super dope, on point. So,
We Want Miles.
Yeah, I think that's what it's called.
Spectacular.
All right.
All right, guys, you heard it here first. If you need a DJ for your wedding or coffee shop, please
We
contact.
didn't talk about what makes my videos cool.
What?
What?
What do you mean? What makes your videos? We did talk about what makes your videos.
No, but
cool.
it's okay.
The timeline.
But no. Here's
I said all the things that make your videos cool. The effects.
No, I think he's going to give us secret sauce here.
No, I
us a
just wanted to agree with you.
About what?
Like, I put in a lot of extra work on those videos.
Oh, yeah.
And that nobody, and I know people won't necessarily pick up on, but I, like, inside, I'm like, this is what makes the video extra special.
Oh,
knowing that it doesn't make it extra special.
Oh, it does.
But I have people, I feel like I put a lot of, people may call them Easter eggs in there. And so people point certain things out and they're like, I like how you did that or whatever. And I'm thinking there are like 5 other things.
Dude, how did you do the one? How did you do the one where the font was behind?
Masking.
Did you
mask each individual frame?
I have a few different techniques. The best technique I think is I find the freeze frame. I do a freeze frame hold. So I do the same motions. So I get one frame, freeze frame hold. I hold it from a part where it shows have the motion. It's actually a freeze frame. And then it's easy to mask.
Okay.
So you don't have to... Because when you're holding it in real time, it kind of moves a little bit.
Yeah.
That mask never looks really good.
Yeah.
So then I mask one thing, and then I put it in. And there's a million different ways to mask. And depending on what I want to do, I'll maybe do it in Photoshop, and then I'll bring in an alpha layer to do Luma Alpha, or I'll just do a simple draw the mask. And I like all of those techniques. Those are really fun.
You use Premiere
and Photoshop, and I don't use After Effects. But so I talk about the music, and I use music adjacent to the music I'm talking about, the actual sources, and make music as I'm talking about it. There's a blend of music that is about what I'm talking about.
Holy cow.
And I've noticed just like genre, you talk about a 90s song, it's like, it sounds like 90s rap, but I didn't realize how direct it was.
It's adjacent to what I'm saying. And I'm actually recreating the music.
Holy cow.
So, like, I'm resampling it.
Yeah.
And with the DJ Honda one, I actually remade DJ Honda's beat.
You got to make a video of you doing that.
I did.
It's not up.
It's on the video. People didn't realize I was making the beat because it was too close to the original.
No, I know, but you should talk about that. Talk about hey, I'm going to recreate this beat.
I know, but it sounds like a good idea. But making it work well is a whole nother story. I'm going to end the episode.
Yeah, just end it with the microphone off.
And you were going to end your show, and I stopped you.
No, it's fine. What? No, I wasn't ready to end it yet.
No, you weren't?
No, DJ Sean P. Kyle, we have to make sure Kyle's ready to end us in the show. That's really what happens. Is there any shout-outs or anything you want people to go check out or see or do? Or
what's the TikTok? Is it at DJ Sean P as
DJ
well?
Sean P, yeah. Honestly, just want to shout out Jesus and give him a lot of credit, dude. Like, God has worked a lot in my life, and I'm not even joking.
Sorry, I just need to get a picture of you.
And so I have a hard time. I want to learn how to talk about Jesus better. And I have not done really well at that. And my videos are an example of me learning how to be better at communication and being less neurotic. And I'm building the storytelling skills in order to be able to talk about God in a way that honors him.
Dude, you're good at it. I mean, that was why I was asking about the teleprompter, because you are good. Like, your delivery is good. Also, your thoughts are really clear. I mean,
and so I make an outline. Thank you for asking.
Yeah.
And I make an outline.
Yeah.
And so sometimes the outlines are sufficient. And sometimes I recognize my outlines are not sufficient.
But people don't understand how difficult it is to think of a record and think of what you want to say about it, to limit it to, I'm just going to say these 4 things.
So that's
and
in
how
the story.
You're going to tie it together. It's so good.
If you look at the timeline, that's in the story writing point. So I have an idea. I get to a place where so I have the idea, drop the kids off at school, do the Wikipedia stuff, trace all the links, copy and paste into my notepad, and then I write the script. So writing the script it started out as an outline, but it has ended up writing an actual script.
Yeah.
But that's where it gets really tricky, because as soon as you start actually writing the script, it's the better thing to do, but now you have performance anxiety.
Yeah.
So you have to know how to use your voice.
Yeah.
The script has to be in your voice.
Yeah.
So you have to do some of the techniques of really saying your script out loud, making sure that your script is in your voice, because when you're actually doing it, you're not going to stick to the script.
Yeah.
You're just going to stick to the heart of the script. Mm-hmm. And so that is the trick. Having the confidence. The people I've worked with in the past that aren't familiar with this, they're scared about that.
Mm.
You know what I mean? They're in front of the camera. It's intimidating. This is really hard to do everything in a day and produce, and then do the level of editing. And on this one, I wrote the script. I went to the studio and I grabbed all the different records I was going to talk about. And then I went online and grabbed, screenshots of the stuff I didn't have. And, I did all my photoshopping, right? And then I went to recreate the beat I wanted to talk about. So I had the original sample source. And so I listened to the beat and listened to the sample source and was like, how did he do this? Oh, I'm going to do it. Because I did a video with me about making a beat and that performed really well. So I was like, instead of starting the video with scratching the record in, I wanted to start the video with me on the drum pads playing the beat out.
Yeah.
But what I realized, and I kind of knew halfway through, I was like, oh, they're not going to understand that the beat they're hearing is coming from the drum pads that I'm playing right now. But for me, I felt happy. This is for me.
Yeah.
I'm doing this for me.
And this is all in vertical, so no like horizontal for YouTube or anything. It's all just
all my
for
cameras
TikTok.
are my cameras are vertical. Yeah, like luckily I have some experience under my belt, and I have done this, and I tell myself I can do this, and I also tell myself I can do this excellent.
Yeah.
So like the lighting and the angles, like I'll do it a few times if I have to, if I realize halfway through, like, oh, I got my shots, and I'll go to my edit and I'm like, the other angle's better.
Yeah.
Reshoot it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm doing it with natural light. So if I have to go back and the lighting's different, then I have to color correct my video.
Yeah, that's a pain.
This video itself ended with an idea at 9:30 p.m., set up lights and shoot final shot, because I shot it during the morning.
Dude, what I've run into is multiple weeks where it's like my haircut, I can't get a haircut.
Do you wear a hat, bro?
Dude, I'm like, man, if I get a haircut, that means I can't reshoot anything. Like if someone comes in and goes, we got to reshoot the shot, and now I have a completely different hairstyle.
got a mustache.
Like I have haircut anxiety now, because I'm like, if I get this haircut, that means I'm committing to like I'm committing to like this better work. Like we're not gonna have a reshoot. All right, it's been enough. It's been enough of podcast. DJ Sean, guys, look on the
I love you guys.
Subscribe on Patreon to get the invite to the DJ event we're gonna host, the big party at the studio. Kyle, anything else?
And then follow me because I'm building up my social profiles and I'm setting up my own Patreon.
Yeah.
Today I was making exclusive content for my patrons, and I'm starting to do live streams and stuff like that. But that's in the future. But and so can I come to your party?
What do you mean?
Yeah, you're like
the party.
half the party.
You're the party. Yeah, let's host a party here.
All right, I'll send you my contract.
Okay, sounds good. Have your people talk to mine. All right, thanks everyone. Go to patreon.com/something and drinkstudiocoffee.com and all the other great places. Thanks, Kyle, for once again being in the closet. We'll talk to you later. Thanks, Sean. Bye.
Kyle's in the closet?
-5, 4, 3,
Dude, I gotta subscribe to your Patreon.
1.
No, I want to.
Booster ignition
Subscribe to
and
one
liftoff of Discovery.
You're gonna die.
I'm Raymond Arroyo. We'll see you next time.